So I have made a habit of coming here the last few years and talking about consumers. And I thought I would switch things up today and talk about you and me instead, and talk about marketers. I like the consumer perspective because that's the place that we all ought to start. But I think some stuff is happening with marketers, and I want to hit that today. In particular, I want to talk about how it seems so goddamn hard these days to market effectively. So I'm going to talk about that. So it told me, there we go. So long time ago, I was little, and I was told about the future, and the epitome of the future was the flying car. We're all going to fly, there'll be no traffic, it's going to be amazing, and I would pick up my Hot Wheels and fly them around my bedroom, and that seemed amazing. And then about 20 years ago, I started an agency, and at that time, the future seemed amazing as well, because the world was getting connected, because we had all this bandwidth that we had never had before, the promise of mobility, the promise of video, the promise of all this processing power. We didn't quite understand the cloud, but we saw that it was coming. And as marketers, it seemed amazing. It seemed amazing what was likely to happen to us, to our industry, and all the possibilities that we had in front of us. The problem is, we're here, and it doesn't seem so great at all, at least not to me. It seems really rather challenging. So what do we have, apart from a balky clicker? We have these always-on consumers, right? They're leaving data trails everywhere we go. We've got 5,000 MarTech companies, a lot of whom are innovating a lot, and some big Frankenstein clouds too, and they've got a lot of money and resources as well. We've got databases that are fast and flexible and give us the ability to do things we never could do before. We've got analytics engines. We've got the ability to touch a button and reach millions, if not tens of millions of people. And believe it or not, we have machines that do thinking for us, right? So it should be a wonderful world out there for marketers, and yet it doesn't seem to be at all. The problem, I think, can be summarized in this way, and I want to go back to the cars thing. So we're living in a moment, so if you go back 20 years, a lot of us then were thinking a lot about telematics. Telematics is about intelligent automobiles and how intelligent automobiles. We have an expert on telematics in the room who will, I'm sure, enlighten us later from Drive. But telematics we're going to make cars intelligent. And what happened instead was that phones got ahead of cars, fundamentally. Phones were the vehicle for everything happening. Phones became the vehicle for connectivity, for video, for connectedness, for geolocation, for kind of everything that you needed. And cars aren't going to fly, at least not unless you live in a flat Earth and you're trying to prove that it's flat. Cars are going to be driverless. They're going to drive themselves. That's going to be the big automotive innovation. And that's happening, and it's going to happen soon. Don't advise your kid to become an Uber driver or UPS driver. That would be a bad move. That's all happening. But in the meantime, there's this huge gap between what phones do and what cars can do. And there's all kinds of solutions to try to bridge that gap. But at the moment, we all struggle because we have our phones in our cars, like rattling around, making us unsafe drivers because the phone is way ahead of the car, right? I think we all live that every day. Pause. Think about marketers and consumers. The consumers are the phone, and the marketers are the car, right? The consumers got ahead of us. That's what's happening right now. We can't keep up with the phones, because we're cars. And we're going to get there. We all know it. We all talk about how magical it's going to be. But the truth is, right now, today, we're behind. And it's a constant struggle. And the worst part is, the phone figured it out. They know that we're not living up to what we could do, and it's making them crazy. So if we click past the cars and phone slide, click past the consumers ahead, why are the marketers behind? Because the technology is moving too fast for us. Because there's all these legacy systems that we have that we're dealing with. Because our marketing organizations are siloed and often designed to serve the brand, not the consumer. Because the data is all over the place. It's not centralized. It's not in the right kind of database. It doesn't have the right associations to all the other databases. And we all don't have enough money, people, expertise, or time. And the consumers, right, get it. Millennials and Gen Z understand how this stuff works. They know they're giving up their data, and they expect stuff to be personalized and relevant to them. And we're just struggling to make the, keep the switch to, summertime, right? Millennials and Gen Z are the first two generations that reject generational labeling. Talk to a millennial about what it means to be a millennial, and they say, screw you, I'm not a millennial, I'm Nick. Don't put me in a watch cap. Don't tat me up and give me one of those cool, authentic beards with a gas station attendant shirt. That's not who I am. I'm just some dude, and I'm interested in this, that, and the other thing, and you should know because you know everything about me because you track me all over the world. They're concerned about privacy, but they're willing to trade privacy for relevance, right? And the problem is we can't always deliver that relevance, right? And that's where things get sticky for us. And that's why it feels so hard, because the expectation from the consumers of what we should be able to deliver is not matched by what we are often actually able to deliver, right? And we're all here talking about email because we can make email work. We're not here talking about omnichannel because we all struggle to make email work, much less think about a whole bunch of other channels that we're going to sync in the way that we know sort of theoretically should be possible, but is actually quite challenging. Okay, couple quick numbers to sort of drive this home, and I'll move on. 3/4 of consumers don't think that they get content that's relevant to them from brands. Less than 1/4 of marketers are extremely satisfied with their ability to leverage their own data to deliver that. Gap, enormous gap that we're not dealing with, that we're not meeting, which is creating a lot of problems. So the bad news about this presentation is I don't have a magical answer to solving this problem. No big surprise there. Time will solve this problem eventually. But what I do want to talk about is what do we do anyway? We still have to go to work every day. We still have to connect with consumers every day. We still have to drive engagement. So I want to talk a little bit about us, our platform, how we help with that, and more important, I think, how a couple of our clients have worked through some of these problems and seen at least some incremental gains, if not the answer to the whole problem. So what do we see as positive trends out there? We see more and more clients getting focused on data. We see a greater understanding of how templates and automation can focus those limited resources to drive better results. And we see, most importantly, efforts to really, really get to what consumers want, because if you can get to what the consumer wants, you can be more relevant in your messaging. So what is Selligent? Selligent is B2C marketing automation at scale. We do the key channels. It's all built around a universal consumer profile. We have a flexible database architecture that allows you to bring in all the data that you need to. It's built around the person, not around the email address. We have the drag and drop automation that you would expect, tons of features, so it's sophisticated and powerful, and we deliver real-time personalization in the way that you would expect. It's a sophisticated alternative to the giant clouds. What we're going to be doing in the first quarter is bringing out our new platform, our next-gen platform. So I'm going to show you a couple screenshots of that because it represents a huge leap forward for us, and then get to the examples. So we've improved the look and user experience of the product. It's simplified, it's stripped down, it's much easier to use. We've got a much more intuitive content designer, so you can drag and drop images quite easily out of a library that's super intuitive. And we've redesigned our journey mapping so that all sorts of messaging comes up in the course to say, ooh, this looks problematic, there's a potential error here, this value looks out of whack. So it gives you an intelligent approach to the way that you journey map. And quite importantly, we're adding AI into the platform. The way that we're doing that we think is particularly relevant to you because what we're doing is delivering very purpose-built AI, built for relationship marketing. It is not built to solve every problem. It's built to solve very specific issues like offer optimization, journey optimization, and audience optimization so that we can help you through delivering the next step on the journey that your consumers are going through. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few examples. The first thing to do is look at your consumers. You open the box and you might see something that you don't expect. First one I want to talk to you about is StumbleUpon. So StumbleUpon is a content curation app, a customer of ours. And what they do is send you emails and help you kind of happen upon interesting content. But they've been having some challenges and do a really hard look at their consumer base to figure out what was happening. And what they realized was people actually wanted less, right? Not more. It's sort of counterintuitive for a publisher. People wanted less because they wanted to log in more often for less time. And their millennial audience was aging and had different interests than they used to, like they wanted healthy lifestyle tips, young child parenting tips. They wanted cooking tips, different than what they used to have. So what StumbleUpon did was start to create much smaller, shorter emails and use those emails to only have 5 stories and to make the content as snackable as possible. Another counterintuitive thing they did, for example, was lower the video quality of the videos, right? Don't worry about quality, just make sure the load times are super fast because that's what people want. It's all about time management for these millennials. And as a result, they were able to add vast numbers of new users. All their usage rates are going up, even though their dwell times are going down because people just want to get in and get out and get something relevant. The next example I want to show you is for a Dutch retailer called Coolblue. So Coolblue is growing super fast, dominating the Dutch market, but they're having vastly increasing number of customer service calls and lots of product returns. So they did a big dive into their customers in combination with their services team, and the basic thing they found was people were buying stuff, but they didn't know how the things that they bought worked, right? So they were facing all sorts of challenges. So what they started doing was sending videos out with delivery messaging, right? So here's a video how to use your new product. They built videos for 250,000 products, and they sent follow-up emails to test how people were doing so that they could make sure that when people bought things, they were satisfied with them, so that would drive down their costs, both in terms of returns and customer service. And as a result, customer services calls down 90%, returns down 30%, and their NPS score went up 2 points. Just basic, smart inquiry followed by a simple fix. This is Massa Boutique, which you won't have heard of, is a very big Italian retailer. Massa Boutique serves men, women, and kids, and it serves both the luxury end of the market and the discount end of the market. So it's really tough. They also serve the Italian market. I don't know if you guys are aware, Italians really care about clothes, like a lot. And in fact, there's not a single Italian clothing market. There are sub-regional markets. There are greater taste variations within Italy than there are within the United States, despite the fact the US is 7 times as big, because Italians care obsessively about how they look. And Southern Italians don't dress like Northern Italians, don't dress like Sicilians, et cetera, et cetera. So the problem was they were basically just blasting away, and it wasn't working anymore because their customer base had very, very distinct needs. So what they did was push the forward button a lot of times. What they did was build a segmentation scheme based on were they bargain shoppers, were they luxury shoppers, based on that regional geography, and they started to deliver automated templates and journeys based on these different segments and using Facebook and being smarter in general. And they drove up their order volume more than 100%, just with simple stuff, well executed, driving a huge difference in their business. And finally, I want to give you an example from AMC Theaters. So AMC's, one of their European businesses is called Odeon. Odeon has a product called Limitless. Limitless is basically all you can eat. It's actually not all you can eat, it's all you can watch. It's a monthly subscription to the theater as opposed to individual ticket sales. So they did a huge customer survey to try to figure out how to get more people involved in their loyalty program and hopefully into this Limitless program. And what they discovered was people wanted things that were different than they understood. They didn't want popcorn discounts, they wanted gift cards. They wanted very personalized movie recommendations based on the kind of algorithm that Netflix delivers, right? Because they have to compete with Netflix. They wanted follow-up reminders when they got offers that that offer was going to expire, and then the Limitless offer worked a lot better for older people who have more time than younger people than it worked for younger people. So they drove up their open rates by 150%, their click rates by 200%, and their loyalty program conversion has been increasing steadily ever since. This is not fundamentally going to solve the cars and phones problem that I outlined before, where consumers expect more of us than we are able to deliver. But an obsessive focus on consumers does help us get to the right thing. So, in conclusion, the right technology can be liberating. Don't assume you know your customer no matter how well you've been working with them. Look at StumbleUpon. StumbleUpon's a new business, and their customers had already changed in the space of 5 years. Design content around the way people actually live their lives and engage with the brand. And finally, do something. Start somewhere. Start testing. Start optimizing. Start making something happen. Thank you very much. Pleasure to see you all. Look forward to seeing you over the course of the conference.